What's up, everybody? Welcome back into TK Wrestling, and we are here with another TK pod. We're going to talk a little bit about SmackDown. We got a new WWE champion. The Judgment Day is one member short after Monday Night Raw. It's just it's been a hectic last few days in the wacky world of pro wrestling. Dr. Dye, how are you doing? The semester is in full swing. You guys are in the midst of all of it. How has everything been going this semester so far?
Dude, it is March Madness across the board, man. And like I said, we've even talked about April, how crazy April is going to be on top of it, man. Like right now, we've got the Southland Conference basketball tournament going on. I've decided to sit down and take some pictures because I hadn't been to a game all season. So
Yeah.
I kind of missed it. I had like a day and dude, this weekend was just from Friday until Sunday, my stomach, dude. So I finally started feeling better Sunday. Then I went out to the game Sunday, had a chili dog.
Yeah, you texted me that, and you were like, I think that was a mistake. I said,
That was a
yeah,
mistake, dude. That's the one. The only problem is, they give you the game food, and I mean, there's never anything healthy at a game. It's like, do you want nachos with chili? Do you want to have
yeah,
to try the cheeseburger? See, or I don't even know if it's a cheeseburger. It might just be a hamburger for all I know.
yeah. I typically would get a burger with just a little bit of condiments on it to make it not so dry. But
Oh, but man, no, dude, it's been packed though, man. Between March Madness, midterms, everything, the fact like we talked about, you got to get out and cut your grass because the grass is growing again, So it's just
yeah, so fun.
all these little things popping back up, But man, tell you what though, dude, SmackDown kicked some major booty Friday, man. I mean, like SmackDown's been whooping the crap out of Raw lately. And I'll admit, Monday last night I thought was probably one of the better episodes of Raw that we've had in a while, dude. But SmackDown, man, top to bottom, especially with all the new players they've gotten. We've talked about how Raw they didn't do that redraft thing we kept talking about, but instead we kind of got a couple guys moving. Like I said, now we got Sammy on SmackDown. We got Rhea now officially on SmackDown. So look, really excited for the SmackDown product lately. I guess Trick Williams might be. Is he SmackDown? I guess too.
Oh yeah,
Seemed like
oh yeah,
with
Trick for
Oba.
sure.
Where's Oba at? Oba's SmackDown and Raw. Oba's just everywhere.
Yeah,
So, dude, I mean, look. I mean, we won't talk too much about SmackDown, but there are a lot of some highlights to take away from SmackDown. First and foremost, being the women's tag division, as we've talked about how now that Rio's out and the Irresistible Forces are in, what's it going to be like, dude? And we got a Charlotte Flair Alexa Bliss match versus Julia and Kiana James. Dude, it was almost chef kiss in just because Charlotte Flair is a heel in a sense, right? She's always been like a hated person from what I've understood in WWE. I've only really known Charlotte since she's come back, and since she's come back, she's been with Alexa for probably 85% of the time since she's been back, and Alexa's kind of really brought it, dude. So it was great watching the crowd just get behind Charlotte in a lot of ways. They were doing the whole Flair woo, and everything. It was so much fun, and just see Charlotte like realize and appreciate it. The crowd at SmackDown was great. And that was one of my favorite things, seeing that. I'm so happy. We keep thinking that Charlotte and Alexa are going to break up, but I don't know when. And if they do, Casey, I don't know if it's going to be an angry breakup. I think it might be a breakup that's more along the lines of the Rhea Io breakup, where it's like eventually we just went our own ways, but we don't still have lots of love for each other. But I don't know. But you've also predicted that Alexa is going to be the one to break it up, right?
yeah. I think if I were fantasy booking it, that's probably what I would do. Just I don't want to say just for the sake of being different, but we've seen Charlotte heel so many times. We haven't seen Alexa be a really big heel in quite a while, and we know Alexa can be a great heel. That's what she came into the main roster as and made her early success as. But yeah, I mean, I would like to just see that different dynamic of Alexa Bliss in 2026 as the heel and Charlotte as the obviously over babyface. And who would have thought that we would ever see that dynamic with these two against each other, much less at this point in their careers. So yeah, I would probably do Alexa as the heel just because it sounds fun. I think it'd be pretty cool and interesting for both of them.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's like it's just it's this interesting because Charlotte like doesn't know how to be a good person. Like she keeps trying, and it's so funny to see. Like I think like a couple episodes ago, she gave like Alexa like an autographed picture of herself. It's like one of these things that it's like it feels like it's a nice move, but at the same time, Alexa's like, "What do I need an autographed picture
Yeah,
of
she was
Charlotte
even like,
for?"
"It's made out to you from me, like, it's for you," and she's like, "Yeah, but" yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
So I'm hoping that because we've lost Rio and because we've talked about how good this women's tag team division is, I hope that this group stays together because we might have lost maybe another tag team because of Raw. We'll talk about that later. But Bailey and Lyra, I mean, how does that continue to work? We'll see going forward. But regardless, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss versus Julia and Kiana James. Look, I'm all about. I love Kiana James. I wish I could speak Julia's language because I'm sure I would love Julia a little more too, but it's tough whenever you got three people speaking English and then Julia throws out, I mean, is she speaking Japanese? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
Japanese.
that's what I thought. So she throws out the Japanese and I want to know what she's saying so bad. But here we got, like I said, kind of a number one contenders match. I don't know, Casey. What do you think? The Irresistible Forces versus the Not Friends? Are you excited for the Irresistible Force versus the Not Friends?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be pretty fun. These are all 4 top-tier women in the women's roster, in the women's division, and these are 4 top-tier women that I think are gonna put on a great program, and I still think the Charlotte and Alexa breakup is inevitably on its way, but, yeah, I'm definitely excited for this. If to answer your question, yeah, I think it'll be really fun. Look, we talked about not just Nia Jax, dropping the weight. Anybody can say that. We can see that or whatever. But I think Nia, especially in this last run, since she's come back to the company, has been really great. Just in the ring, on the mic, with her character work. And Lash, I think, is a future main eventer. And I think they're just such a perfect couple. So many of these tag teams that we always complain about just being thrown together. WWE, I have to give them credit, has this weird knack of just making these teams work and making it, they are really good at their job in that aspect. So I think this is a really fun program. Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
Speaking of tag teams that were just thrown together on SmackDown, the tag team turmoil, dude. Also, we had how many was it? Five tag teams, I think, getting it together. Now, the funny thing is it opens with our truth coming up to Damian Priest and going, "Man, you're in turmoil." And Damian's like, "What do you mean I'm in turmoil? I feel fine." He's like, "Nah, man, with me, you're in the tag team turmoil." You gotta love how our truth always, you know, says the right thing to make things funny. And dude, yet again, like I said, tag team just hitting on SmackDown. This turmoil match was just a lot of fun. Like I said, the first time we've seen Fraxium in I don't know how long it's been since we've seen Fraxium, right? I mean, we've
As a
seen
tag
them
team,
in
it's been a while.
right. We've seen them in backstage segments. They've had a little, I think Nathan Frazier might have had a one-on-one match or something like that. But yeah, seeing them together, it's been a while. So it was really nice to see Fraxium. Like I said, I always love seeing that speed that they move. Just whoosh, 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 whoosh. Them in the Motor City Machine Guns, and then Angel and Berto,
Yeah, Los Garza.
Los Garza. Now I don't know. They thought there was like a botch with the Motor City Machine Guns where they didn't save the tag in time or they didn't save the pin in time. And I don't know for sure. Like it was one of those botches because they played it off backstage later where like it wasn't a botch. So I don't know if it was a botch or not. I'm curious. Leave in the comments because I haven't heard anybody else really talk about it. Let me know in the comments if it was or was not a botch that the machine guns didn't avoid the pin when they should have. But like I said, you got Angel Alberto, you got those two coming out. Then you got like I said, you've got Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis, and we finished with Damian Priest and R-Truth, and they ended up winning the match. They ended up defeating Angel and Berto through the whole thing. Because why the Wyatt Six lose? Well, who else showed up but the MFTs? Which at this point, that's the one thing about SmackDown that's getting a little old. I feel like, right? Is this MFTs Wyatt Six thing that keeps going with the lantern and everything else? It's just
Yeah, well,
That
and especially since it just feels like the Wyatt Six just don't ever win in this rivalry. Like, it feels like MFTs are always on top. So it's like, and then the MFTs come back and they just get involved with them again. Like, why? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I agree with you. As much as I like these two stables individually, their time together has gone stale. It's gone cold.
Now, I did not know how much I was going to enjoy R Truth and Damian Priest as tag team partners. Look, I hope this is a thing, dude. I hope this is actually a thing. I mean, they did win, you know, the tag turmoil, so they should be staying together. But I hope this is a thing because man, it was fun to watch. And that way we get more R Truth, man, because R Truth is keeping John Cena alive, doing
Yeah.
all of Cena's moves, and it's
That's
so
Ron Cena,
great.
dude. That's Ron
It's yeah,
Cena.
Ron Cena. It's so great, dude. It's so great.
If I had to throw a guess out into the ether, my guess would be that the MFTs are going to defend against Truth and Priest, and the Wyatt Six are just going to cost the tag titles, and Priest and Truth will be your next tag champions.
I
That
mean, I'm
kind of
hoping, dude,
screams to me where it's going.
because we've been talking about where does Priest go after the Aleister Black stuff and whatnot. Where does he go? What is he going to do? What storyline fits him? Because he's not in the main card title match, and he is kind of a main card title kind of guy. So where do you put Priest? I love putting Priest with Truth. I hope this lasts. I hope this isn't just like a flash in the pan. They get like 3 matches and then they're done. It's kind of like how we saw AJ Styles and Dragon Lee last year come together. You didn't think at first, like, what are these two doing? And then it just fit. And it was such a fun tag team to watch. I hope that our Truth and Damian Priest stay together at least through what, like SummerSlam or something, at least that long. So
Yeah, maybe. I feel like you've already kept Damien. I don't want to call it like in purgatory, but that's almost kind of what it feels like. He hasn't really been involved in any like championship feuds in a while. And I feel like he needs something bigger. And I feel like this may be the start of what we look back on in a few months as the beginning of the heel turn for Damian Priest.
okay.
I wouldn't be shocked if maybe down the line he turns on Truth, probably after they lose the titles, maybe Truth cost them the titles or anything. But at the same time, I don't want to say it doesn't feel important to Damian Priest, but Damian almost feels like he would move on pretty quickly from the tag titles once
No,
they
yeah,
were to
no,
lose them.
he looks at Truth like Truth's wacky. Like he looks at Truth like how we would look at Truth. Like, what are you really
Yeah.
doing this? But at the same time, they won. So,
Yeah. Well, and they have history because whenever Damian Priest was in the Judgment Day, Truth was always trying to become a member of the Judgment Day. He was always saying he was a real member. There's even that really viral clip of Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley when they were both world
right.
champions holding up the belts, and then Truth ran in with his title right in the middle, and they were all like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And so they have a little bit of history, and I just wouldn't be shocked if this is leading up to a Damian Priest heel turn. Again, I know I said something about it earlier in the year, but I just wouldn't be shocked if somehow Damian Priest and Aleister Black come together as like a darker heel tag team to maybe run amok in that tag team division and also become champions at some point. And that can lead to Damian and Aleister Black at WrestleMania next year for another, I don't want to call it pointless, but another random mid card feud for Aleister or for Damian Priest. I don't know. They can feud for another 6 months. Who knows?
Well, you brought up Rhea. So speaking of Rhea made her debut on SmackDown, called out Jade, and yet again, we highlighted Jade's one shortcoming. That girl cannot work a mic. She just cannot work a mic. Somebody needs to be writing for Jade, or I don't know if she's writing for herself, who's writing for Jade, but I don't know. Did you catch the highlight of this promo where they're just talking about how strong they are? She's like, I got bigger muscles than you, Rhea. And Rhea's like, well, you may, but mine are meant for fighting. Yours are meant for show. I mean, it was
No,
just
I didn't see the promo, and I'll admit that some of Jade's stuff doesn't come across the cleanest. I think her best deliveries are like the intense one-liners, whenever, and I think that's why they made her catchphrase "I'm that bitch" because like it's so impactful every time she says it, and it bears that weight every time she says it. But yeah, give Jade a live mic for more than a few minutes, and you do start to see some of those discrepancies, I guess, if you want to use that word. And I do think that the writing, whatever, I could take it or leave it. but I think she needs a mouthpiece, and that's kinda why I wanted BFAB to be that mouthpiece for her, and that's where I kinda thought it was going, where BFAB would just, like, maybe not be as active in the ring or can easily take balls for Jade, but can also carry some of that verbal weight for Jade, and then Jade can jump in and, have her easy lines to deliver that make her more impactful and don't really show any of her shortcomings that may come on the mic. I don't think she's terrible. I definitely think she has some room for growth there, is all I'm saying.
Well,
But
I feel like she'd been growing, so I don't know if it was that, because obviously you heard about the Twitter or X feud that they had
right,
prior
right.
to the episode, how much of that was kayfabe, how much of that was a work versus real and whatnot, and then how much of that affected maybe. And then, like I said, you're going up against Rhea anyways. There's few women who work a mic as well as Rhea Ripley does. So, you're taking on maybe like what, a top three mic worker on the female side, on top of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just really she really got exposed, and Rhea used her line against her. She used the "cause I'm that bitch." Rhea used her line. So even her best line now is no longer hers in a sense. Rhea just took it, owned it, stepped all over it. So look, this is going to be. I don't know. This feels like a match that if it keeps getting ugly like this, like both her this match and like the Punk Roman Reigns match should both feel like they're starting to like need like no stipul or whatever, like no holds barred, something, like just some stipulation that opens it up so there's no DQs or nothing. Both those matches just feel like they're starting it full of hate. Even the Liv and Stephanie Vaquer match, the only one that really hasn't built up but has like a year build up, right? Is the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes, right? Like that's like a year of build up, but it feels like the most tame of all four title matches in WrestleMania right now. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, something I'm curious. I just because I feel like this is going to be a physical. I mean, these are two women, as Rhea said, her body's built to fight. These are two women built to cause damage. So I'm hoping that we see some damage at WrestleMania, and maybe a promo where Jade looks good between now and then as well.
Yeah, I agree. They need something to level it up quick because I know it just started for Rhea and Jade, but it just if you can't rely on one side to hold their weight on the mic, that really what it boils down to. Jade just kind of has to step up and has to have some good nights on the mic. And whether it's someone who's writing for her, or if she's writing her own stuff, or if they're just giving her an open mic, whatever it may be, she's got to do something to elevate her on the mic to at least feel like she is a verbal threat to Rhea because physically this is maybe the first time in Jade's WWE career that she's not the most physically imposing force in the ring on the opposite side of her. You can argue Bianca Belair being in the ring with her, whatever, whatever, but even comparatively to Bianca Belair's fit. She's an athlete for sure, but Rhea just has this like brute strength that is rare to match, but that Jade does a really good job matching. So the physicality is there from both sides, but Jade has to show us that you're right. She can step up and hold her own against Rhea on the mic because if not, the believability is not going to be there. And if you don't get people to buy into it, then you either have to switch it over to Rhea and just have her win, which is what we can maybe expect, or you have Jade win, and a lot of people are going to be pissed about that. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think that it's almost there in terms of getting me excited for it. It just needs something to
It
push it
needs
right over
something.
the
Yeah, it
yeah.
needs something. Like they keep talking about how like Jade's gonna go mess up EO. And I'm kind of look, not opposed to that, but we'll see. We'll talk about EO here in a second when we talk about Raw. But talking about brute strength. Obafemi is on both shows, dude, and he is just cleaning house all over the place. On SmackDown, this is another great moment. Johnny Gargano finally decided he wasn't going to continue to plank anymore. He was going to go out there and be a man, and he put an open challenge out there. And who came out?
Do do
Dude,
do do
you
do
should have.
blah blah blah.
Johnny Gargano's face when Obafemi came out was just like,
But
what
yeah, I'm
am I
gonna have to go look that up.
it's like, what am I doing with my life face? You know what I mean? It's like, you just talked your friend into whatever. And he's like, all right, dude, I'm down. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then you get there and it's like, God, it was just
All right,
just a
bet.
great, just a great squash match again. OFME just busting everybody up. Then we had a then we had a little backstage segment before the final match. We had Cody or Randy Orton talking to Sami Zayn, and Sammy has been asking everybody. Like we've seen it. We've seen the last couple SmackDowns. Sammy's like, apologizing to people, like, going and, calling them out, but then apologizing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Randy finally said, "Hey man, Sammy, maybe it's time you start listening to the voices in your head. So look out, man." I mean, I'm excited for where the potential of where Sami Zayn could go. I don't know if they're going to hit it because the way you and I would book it, Casey, would be probably way more extreme than what we're going to get. But I'm hoping that we get something here to come of this. I hope that we get some great Sami Zayn heel turn psychosis, kind of the way, like I said, we've been talking about Bailey and Lyra, the voices in their head and whatnot, or whatever's going on with that. I'm hoping that we get some crazy Sammy. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's all because of the fact that, Sammy's like, how do you win? How do you win the big one? Because he's seen, like, Cody took advantage of him when he didn't take advantage of Cody in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And then you saw Randy take advantage of Cody in the Elimination Chamber when, so this is Sammy's like, all right, this is what I have to do. Randy's like, look, sometimes that's what you got to do to win. So we'll see if Sammy listens to the voices in his head. But that, dude, I am excited for that. Which leads us then to the main event of SmackDown, which was the unfortunate Drew McIntyre Cody Rhodes match, which led to Cody winning again. Casey, what do you think, man? What are your feelings on this match in general? Should this match have happened? Do you like Cody as the champion again? Are you excited for Cody and Randy? Like, how do you feel about this one?
I mean, I'm kind of torn, man. Like, I'm obviously happy we're getting Cody and Randy, but it almost feels as though the real Cody and Randy match should be next year. It in my mind, this should have been a multi-man match at WrestleMania with the unpredictability of who's going to walk out. And then again, I know that we have Randy in the chamber taking advantage of the moment and hitting Cody with the RKO, but that's nothing crazy, man. I really just think at WrestleMania we should have seen the punt. I think we should have seen the punt from Randy and we still could. We still could see the punt to Cody, and that could be the big exclamation point moment. But this title flip-flopping around, I don't mind it for now, but it almost feels as though it was just done to rush us to Cody and Randy. And I know we've been waiting for a while. You don't know how much longer you got Randy around. Anything could happen. What happens if one of them's hurt next year? Whatever, whatever, whatever. It just feels like it's not the right time yet. It feels weird to say that with how long we've been waiting on it, but it just felt like we were heading towards something bigger with a multi-man match. And now what are we gonna get, Drew and Jacob? And if we don't and we get Drew and Nick Aldis, what does Jacob do at this
I think
point?
Drew's disappearing. I think that's part of the reason. I mean, that's one thing we're not talking about is Drew's got a movie now. You know, Drew's got to go fill with
Yeah,
Highlander.
I just have a really hard time seeing him missing that WrestleMania paycheck because
No, I hear
that's
that,
a
but
big pay.
dude, this Highlander page. If you okay, question: have you seen the original Highlander?
No, I have not.
Casey. Like you only got to watch the first one because there's a bunch of Highlanders and there's a whole like TV series as well. But there can be only one. That's where the line comes from. I don't know if it came from anywhere before. I'm sure it's not. But Highlander, there can be only one. And look, I'm excited. I'm as excited as for Highlander as I am for Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter, whatever they're going to call it. Cody's going to be great in that. Everything I've seen of that looks like it's going to be fun. But Highlander has got Mark or Henry Cavill as the main dude, Him and Drew. Drew plays his brother. Really curious. And supposedly it's supposed to be a multi-movie thing. If this hits, man, this is gonna, like this is kind of a part that was written for Drew in some ways. Like you couldn't find maybe a more Drew McIntyre part than it's like the only sad part is he's not the lead. Like I feel like he could be the lead. He could be Henry Cavill's character. I assume it's still the McLeods. I'm assuming they're not. It's just a reboot. Connor McLeod, I think that was his name, Connor McLeod. But man, dude, if you haven't seen the original Highlander, that is a classic, an absolute classic. So you should check it out so you can get ready. But no, but apparently Drew's gonna be taking off for that. Maybe we see him at WrestleMania, but I'm pretty sure this is the beginning of a Drew McIntyre absence from SmackDown, which is gonna kind of, I feel like Drew's one of those guys. It's like we'll talk about here in a second with Raw. Raw takes a hit without a Seth Rollins on it. And I feel like SmackDown might take a little bit of a hit if you don't have a Drew McIntyre on there. He's kind of a glue in a sense right now. He is the heel because everybody else is a baby face, right? I mean, Cody's baby face, Randy's baby face, Sammy's baby face. I mean, technically Fatu. I don't know what Jacob is.
Yeah.
He's an in-betweener, but
Jacob's a baby face.
He's more baby face. So
Yeah.
Drew's like the only heel. We're losing kind of the only heel on SmackDown. So we'll see what becomes of that. But all that said, this was actually a really good match. It
Yeah.
was a really good match. It's just unfortunate because I think Cody works better when he's not a champion. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
I mean, baby faces are always hot when they're chasing the title. That's the big thing. It's always the baby face chases and everybody's riled up and then the baby face wins and everybody's like, "Oh, well, what do we do now that he got it? Like, do we still cheer him?" And
Right.
then some other cool heel comes along and the crowd's like, "Well, I don't really care about the baby face anymore. This guy's really cool. I want this guy to hold the title." And then that guy holds the title and then repeat the cycle. I have a little something I want to throw out there. If we are going to write Drew off of TV, I think that we should see a similar situation that we saw with Jacob Fatu. Write Drew McIntyre off and sell that he got attacked the exact same way that Jacob got. And now that puts the doubt in everybody's mind, like, oh, maybe Drew actually wasn't the attacker. And then Drew can come back and he's like, see, I was honest the entire time. It wasn't me. I wasn't the attacker. And I think that that's how you get to you just talked about, we have no huge heel on the roster. Imagine a post WrestleMania where Randy Orton has punt kicked Cody Rhodes, and now that he's champion, we find out not only that, but he was the one that attacked Jacob Fatu. He was the one that attacked Drew McIntyre. And then when you get Drew McIntyre to finally come back from selling the injury, doing the movie, and all that stuff, now Drew's a mega baby face because he's coming back to take down Randy Orton, who put him on the shelf for months after he attacked him backstage. So yeah, that's my pitch, man. If you're gonna write Drew off for the movie and you're gonna give him some time off, cool. Write him off in a backstage segment the exact same way you did with Jacob Fatu a few months ago, and then down the line, reveal it to be Randy Orton as the attacker, and now you've got your mega heel that all the baby faces can chase, and then Drew can come back because let's be real, Drew's a heel, but he's so beloved, dude.
I mean, he's
a
like an
baby
in-betweener
face.
too, kind of.
Yeah, he's a tweener, but
Yeah.
he does heel as shit, but we love him. We love what Drew does. So it's like it's not going to be hard for him to come back as a babyface. And that being said, I don't even think that if Cody were to get punted and then be off TV for a while, that he would come back as the mega babyface. I think he would come back as a babyface, but I don't think the crowd would be as welcoming to him as they would be to Drew whenever Drew comes back. And I think that would eat away at Cody's psyche a little bit. So I think there's a lot of possibilities that you could do with that. But yeah, write Drew McIntyre off TV the same way you did with Jacob Fatu. Make it all come together, WWE. Make it all come together.
See, I'm for that. If nothing else, I'm for a Randy Orton heel turn even prior to WrestleMania. I feel like a void has to be filled, and Randy's ready to fill it. So I mean, look, give me Randy going heel before WrestleMania. I don't want to wait. I want the heel to start coming now. Like I said, take Drew off of SmackDown this Friday. Then after that, have the heel build with him and Cody each week. Let's feel it. And get Jacob in there, or whatever, to some degree, because I mean, one of the best promos that we talked about all year was the Jacob Cody promo, right? The one where they're interviewing each other, or the Michael Cole interview,
yes.
So yeah, get Jacob involved in that some way, but yeah, get Randy to heel as fast as possible. That's what I'm saying.
I think I wouldn't mind that. I think the big thing that they're gonna tease the Friday before WrestleMania, they're probably gonna have a in-ring segment where Cody is down, Randy turns, and he's like, you can see the wheels are turning about the punt kick. And that's when Cody kind of like comes to and he sees where Randy is and how Randy looks. And that's kind of where we leave off, is like Cody recovering then on the floor in the corner. and Randy just kind of standing there looking at him menacingly, like he wants Cody to know, I could have kicked you. I could have done it. I could have made that decision. And just know, that you should be watching your back because that can happen in a split second. As fast as the RKO can happen, the punt kick can happen just as quick. So, yeah, I don't know what it's going to lead to, but we agree that it should be with Randy as a heel on the other side of it. So, all right. Well, we said we weren't going to spend 30 minutes on SmackDown, Matt. We spent 30 minutes on SmackDown.
Did we really?
We
Wow.
did, but it was a good episode. It was a
It
good
was, like I said,
episode.
it
So
was hard to avoid,
SmackDown's
and
been cooking.
we only used 11% of power, so we're in good shape.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Matt didn't charge the laptop last night, but we're gonna make it work anyways. By the way, want to send a shout out to my OKC Thunder. Shea hit a huge game winner over the Nuggets last night with a point or a 2 point something seconds left in the game, and then the Nuggets missed the heave, but he finished with like 30 something points, 9 rebounds, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. 0 turnovers the whole game. Shea was cooking. And we were missing 4 starters last night on top of all that. So OKC Thunder, they had a little stretch where they were losing a lot of games, but that's whenever they were still in single digit losses. So whatever. Thunder looked prime for a repeat. So shout out to OKC Thunder. They had a great game last night. All right, let's jump into Monday Night Raw, Dr. Die. We're gonna dive right into this with Adam Pearce and Seth Rollins at the top of the show. We talked about this a little bit before we went live, but we had the multi-masked man situation where we had all the masked men come out and they're all doing the little bobbing and weaving. And then when they part the Red Sea, so to speak, Seth Rollins is standing there in his mask, takes off the mask. Didn't say a single word in this entire promo, which has been the thing. He hasn't said a single thing since he's come back
God, is he
from this.
not? He hasn't, has he? He's just
Hasn't spoken a single
stares.
word. Yep. And so he and Adam Pearce have this little, I almost said back and forth, but Adam Pearce is speaking to Seth saying, hey, look, we've known each other for a while. I respect you, but this has got to stop. You're not medically cleared. And before it can all be, solved and figured out, they're interrupted by what is left of the Vision and Logan
It was
Paul
so
and,
bad.
and
The
Austin
Vision music
Theory.
drops, and it's just Logan and Austin Theory. It was almost laughable,
And it almost feels weird that at the end of all this, Logan Paul feels like the leader of the Vision now.
Right.
It's so strange what 2026 has turned into for the Vision. But they interrupt, and obviously before they can do anything, the masked men jump back in the ring. They do their whole little bob and weave thing again. They all disperse, and the Vision is not able to figure out which one is Seth because he has, of course, remasked and rehooded and has disappeared. Look, I thought the segment was fun. It's cool. It's perfect for filler going into WrestleMania. This was, something that we got no answer out of, but it was something that at least, filled in some of the gaps that we're going to have in the multiple weeks leading up to WrestleMania. So I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. Like you said, you loved it, but a lot of people online were calling it lame and were trashing it. Like I told you, I think the first time when they were doing the bobbing and weaving thing, and then Seth just like popped up in the middle of all of them, I thought that was a little silly. But in order to like use it as a getaway, an escape route, I thought that was pretty clever and creative and cool and fun and whatever. Give me that. But the whole like leading up to it, like, and then boom, Seth pops up when he was already the only one standing on the announce table. I could take or leave that. That was it.
I mean, it was funny because I think Adam Pearce even said something along those lines. He's like, hey, look, Seth, I didn't need that. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
Look, say what you want about the masked men, but what's CM Punk's song?
Cult of personality.
And what do we have here? The cult of Seth Rollins. That's right. Look at his cult, dude. He's got a whole cult. Like, I just feel like in some ways it's giving the finger to Punk again. It's like, you've got a song about cults. I've got a cult.
Well, hey, look, I told you, man, this all just feels oddly reminiscent of the Monday Night Messiah gimmick that he was running
Right.
for a little bit. And because even when he was the Monday Night Messiah, I don't know if you noticed this, but when Seth came back and took the mask off, the blonde streak is gone again.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And that's kind of what happened last time is the blonde streak slowly disappeared. And then when he became the Monday Night Messiah, it was just straight black hair. There was no streak. And so that, again, kind of tells me maybe we're getting a little bit of that. And maybe, I don't know, man. I'm looking at, again, the wrestling math is not adding up. And I forget someone was I forget what the interview was last night, but someone said, now we're looking at the situation of where it is the Vision in Austin Theory and Logan Paul against not only the Usos, not only Seth Rollins, but also LA Knight. That math just feels weird to me. And unless we're planning on adding two random members to the Vision, unless we're planning on making LA Knight and Seth Rollins a random thrown together tag team, and we're gonna have a six man or a triple threat, tag team match at WrestleMania, this screams that someone is turning heel to me. And if it's not Seth, because I already pitched my whole Seth taking over the Vision thing, and that was before he attacked the Vision. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they could play it off as some like I was trying to teach you a lesson type of thing. And he just works his way into the minds of Logan Paul and Austin Theory, and he is the cult leader that tricks them into, whatever, whatever. And then I'm left with LA Knight. And LA Knight's got nothing going on. You said LA Knight is like the Punisher and doesn't like to work with other people, but also takes care of problems. What if he starts to view the Usos as a problem? What if he starts to view Seth Rollins as a problem? And what if we're looking at a weird situation where LA Knight is all of a sudden turning heel and joining up with the Vision, the very group that he's been swearing to tear down for the last few months? But again, the group that LA Knight is tearing down is vastly different from the group that took him out months ago. Bronson Reed's no longer here. Braun Breaker's not here right now. And all of a sudden, we're looking at a 4-2 deficit. Somebody's got to make that a 3-on-3. And I don't see it being one of the Usos. So it's got to be Seth and it's got to be LA Knight. And unless they're going to pull that whole Monday Night Messiah and he takes over the minds of, and whatever of Austin Theory and Logan Paul, LA Knight turning heel kind of feels like weird, but like maybe they should do it. Maybe it should be something. And maybe we find out later down the line that LA Knight just did it to get to infiltrate the Vision from within and tear them down or whatever. I don't know how you would work it out, but I've got this sneaking suspicion in the back of my brain that somebody's turning heel, and maybe it's not the guy we're expecting it to be.
Look, I'm with you in that I don't know how to book this. I've been
Yeah.
thinking like that's my one thing right now is I'm trying to figure out how to book it, because I've been playing ideas in my head. Like, think about it. Who drove the ambulance away? LA Knight did. Who's in the ambulance? Paul Heyman. What if they had a conversation? What if Paul became an LA Knight man? I mean, what if it was something like that? It's really the Usos for me that throws it off, though. I don't know what to do with the Usos just in general right now, maybe. I mean, they're still tag team champs, but they don't defend. They haven't wrestled in a while, right? I mean, when's the last time we saw the Usos go?
Well, they defended it a few weeks ago against American Alpha or whatever they're
Oh,
called now.
yeah, yeah, I
Sorry.
guess, yeah.
Otis and Tozawa, yeah. Well, look, Matt, we're already into it. Let's just go a little out of order. Let's talk about the Usos. And you said we don't really know what to do with them because they are so intertwined in a lot of other stuff.
They are. They're like in 3, 4 They got the tag team storyline. They got the Vision storyline. Now they're embroiled in the CM Punk Roman Reigns
Yeah.
storyline. And then you've just got like the general, what do you do with Jay storyline, right? Because that's been the thing since he won the championship last year. We've all been, what are they doing with Jay? Because once you took it back off of him, nobody knows, man. Are we sick of
Well,
Yeating? Are we not sick
I
of Yeating?
no, I think we are, but I kind of have an idea. So to give a little context, earlier or later on in the night after the opening segment, we had the Usos backstage, and they were asked about the opinions of what was said to Roman Reigns last week. Jay said he had nothing to say to Punk, and that's when Jimmy was like, "I think we do have something to say to Punk," and so that kind of gave us the idea that maybe they were going to interrupt the main event segment. That's exactly what happened. CM Punk came out. He was talking, and we'll talk more about what CM Punk was talking about in a second, but he was interrupted by the Usos. Again, what we expected. Now, the way that, first of all, Jay, stop slapping the mic, dude. I don't love it. I don't love it. Once or twice is cool, but that's something we see from Jey Uso from time to time is a little bit of overacting. And like, the amount of times he was like grabbing Jimmy to like hold himself back. It's like, all right, just take it a little bit. But the reason I talk about that is because that is oddly reminiscent of right hand man Jey Uso from the bloodline, from the OG bloodline. Now remember, Jay didn't want to fall in line with Roman at first. He was kind of forced to in order to save his brother. And eventually, Jay became the right hand man. And that behavior that we saw last night, again, is oddly reminiscent of that.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
with how much they're coming back to defend Roman and Roman, having this championship match, maybe call it an early WrestleMania prediction. I don't know because it might change between now and then. I think we're on the verge, on the precipice, if you will, of Roman becoming world champion and the Usos joining back up with Roman and us reuniting the OG
Getting
bloodline.
getting the OG bloodline going.
Yeah, I don't know if that involves Paul Heyman. I don't know if that involves Paul Heyman. I don't think so. But as of right now, it looks like Roman and the Usos might be coming back together for a bloodline OG reunion and ending night 2 in WrestleMania, standing tall with the ones in the sky, holding all the gold. If so to speak, obviously with Usos holding the tag gold and Roman holding the world championship. And then the Monday night after WrestleMania, they open up the show to a huge ovation. We got the OG bloodline back together, and that's kind of where I see it going right now. So, yeah, Jay and Jimmy are all that to say. You said we don't know what's going on with Jay. I feel like we're kind of going back to that OG bloodline thing, which leads me to believe that they're going to be done with division after WrestleMania.
Well, no, if that's the case, then give me LA Knight and Seth to form an uneasy alliance to
Mm,
take that on. You know, like I think the thing is right now the Vision aren't really a threat. Without Braun, without Bronson, nobody's really scared of Logan and all. Like I said, when they came out, dude, I seriously almost laughed. Like not even Paul Heyman's out anymore. They're the Vision by name alone. They're not the Vision anymore. So like, when I looked at that, I was like, this isn't going to work. I don't think they have to. I don't know how it's not dissolved.
yeah.
I feel like the Vision could explode if Seth doesn't come over and take a firm hand and, like we said, come back and lead the Vision. If he doesn't do that by like WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, I can see him and LA Knight teaming up when Roman wins. I think Roman's going to win on the level he's talking about, where he's going to make Punk want to start a retirement tour. you know, he's gonna basically retire Punk, or we're gonna lose Punk for 3-4 months. Maybe we lose Punk and AJ Lee for 3 or 4 months, and they can both go on a vacation and come back again in November or something, or for SummerSlam in August or whatever. You know, maybe that's what it is. And because the thing is, Seth has 3 targets: the Vision, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns, and probably in that order, maybe Punk and the Vision flip. But if Punk's not there, and if he's leading the Vision or the Vision's gone, his target is now Roman Reigns. And if Roman Reigns is with the Usos, LA Knight's the guy that I think he teams up with reluctantly. It's like I said, like Punisher doesn't team up with a lot of guys, but when he does, he'll team up with somebody like a Wolverine. And that's kind of what Seth Rollins is. He's kind of a Wolverine. He's a scrappy fighter who you don't want to mess with. You do not want to, because he go a little crazy on you. You don't want to see Seth go into berserker mode.
Well, and no matter how much he gets hurt, he always finds a way to come back. Like,
Right.
it's crazy.
So, and Seth and LA Knight have like a weird history, but I don't feel like it's as animosity filled as it is other relationships that both of them have. I feel like that they can find some common ground to meet on. So yeah, give me, like I said, if that ends up going to being, give me Seth and LA forming some weird, like short partnership.
Yeah, I always like to rule out big time guys, but like being in a tag team together. But WWE has shown us over the last few years that they're willing to do that kind of stuff. Who knows? Maybe we do. And in terms of what you said about CM Punk and Roman wanting to start like the retirement tour, I don't know if we necessarily get that in terms of that level. But I tell you what I would love to see is I would love to see Roman win the title at Mania, and then the Monday night after, reunite the bloodline, that whole thing. Then the Monday night after Mania, make the main event segment like the bloodline returns, they're back, whatever, and you dedicate the whole main event segment to like the OG bloodline. You can even play like old OG bloodline clips throughout the entire night, or whatever. And the whole time they talk about CM Punk's not in the building, CM Punk's not in the building, not in the building, whatever. Main event segment comes, OG Bloodline comes out, they're talking, they're bragging, whatever, whatever. They get cut off. by the Titantron, and it's a video. CM Punk just showed up to the arena, and he's running in with a whatever head of fire, head of steam. He runs in, he attacks the OG Bloodline. I think they need to beat the hell out of CM Punk. I think they need to absolutely destroy CM Punk. Like you said, take CM Punk off TV for a little bit. Make
Or
it
he
to where
goes
we
running
not.
in, and there's Seth with a chair, smacks the hell out of CM Punk, and then he walks up. He's like, "See what I did for you, Roman? See what I did?"
Well, I think that Seth would be too embroiled with the Vision stuff. I do think that you should have that, like, CM Punk says, "Look, I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked, but I'm not backing down from you guys." And also he's just gonna be filled with rage for losing his championship. But I think that it just shouldn't work out for him. I think he should get beat down and he should get written off TV. And the Monday night after WrestleMania, just the same way as WrestleMania ended, is the OG Bloodline standing on top, ones to the sky, all the championships in the air. And so that's how I would book it. And then you can write Punk off TV for a few months if you want to. Have him come back in the summer. Maybe SummerSlam's a little too late. You don't want to write him off TV for 4 months. Somewhere in there, probably in the in between. Because
I mean,
now,
you
like,
don't, because like as Roman said, you don't want to upset all those 30-year-old virgins living in their mother's basement by having
correct.
Punk
Yeah,
not
you don't
on
want to
there.
upset those guys. Yeah. Not that they're paying to go to shows anyways, because we can't afford to go, so none of us can go. Not that I'm a 30-year-old virgin living in my mom's basement.
But what group are you putting yourself in there, Case?
Just people, wrestling fans in general cannot afford to go to wrestling shows. Is what I was trying to say.
Now,
But
do you? All right, so let's talk this real fast. Who do you see as LA Knight's WrestleMania match? Or, I mean, is it still? I mean, people said Brock Lesnar like 3 weeks ago. You know,
no, please no.
I mean, could you see an LA Knight, Seth Rollins teaming up against the Vision? A
Look,
WrestleMania
man,
match.
as crazy as that sounds, maybe so. I could maybe see a situation where it's like maybe not division, but I think we could see like a triple threat. Excuse me, where it's the Usos defending against Division and LA Knight and Seth Rollins
That would
as
be
a thrown
fun.
together tag team.
I would be fun for that. I'm
Lot of
for that.
overlapping layers there. You don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Everybody's demeanor's a little different. All of a sudden, necessarily like nobody but maybe LA Knight in that whole match is a hardened baby face, because then you got Seth, who when he got hurt was a heel. The Vision is obviously a heel. If the Usos are going back to OG Bloodline, they're probably like tweening at that point, probably on the verge of a heel turn. And then you got LA Knight. It's like, what is LA Knight going to do? And so, yeah, I could see a situation. Now, that being said, unfortunately, the only way I see that, or that I would really want that, is if Seth and LA Knight win the titles that night. But
Right.
that would
Well,
make no
yeah.
sense for the OG Bloodline reuniting unless they just help Roman. They don't have titles or whatever. But yes, that would probably be the match I'd book right now. Gun to my head. I don't know what else I would do. Now, again, we have a lot of time in between now and then. I said that if Chris Jericho is going to come back, I would love to see LA Knight and Chris Jericho. That doesn't seem to be on the table at all. So I'm not going forward with the idea of that is even a possibility. LA Knight seems to be pretty embroiled with the Vision, and if the Vision is pretty embroiled with Seth Rollins and the Usos, that kind of just leads me to believe that, yeah, LA Knight's got to be involved somehow. And when I look at the landscape of it, again, 4v2, what's an easier way to break that up? V2. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of where I see it going. Yeah, I think you're spot on.
All right. All right. Well, Raw's always better when Seth's around. Monday Night Rollins, baby.
Agreed.
Always better when Seth's around.
All right, well, let's talk about. Let's see. Again, we're going to skip around a little bit, but let's talk about the number one contenders women's gauntlet match for the Intercontinental Championship. Dude, this was fun, and not only was it fun, I was shocked to see that they were giving us Lyra and Io to start.
Right.
I I thought that might be something that we get in terms of like Lyra's maybe eliminated a person or two, and then she gets Io, and like while that is a fun match, it's pretty clear that Io's going to win that because Lyra's been in the match longer. But no, they gave it right to us off rip, and these women are excellent together. I think they're so fun. Not surprised to see Io pick up the win over her, in that moment. But then I'm trying to, because I don't have the match perfectly organized in my head, I'm trying to read results, but they've kind of got it all over the place.
No, yeah,
Let's
when
see.
when Lyra and Io came out, like they put on a great opening match. But I'm with you. I was
Yeah.
not ready for Lyra to be the number one and Io to come out number two. When that happened, I'm like, because at first I thought, I was like, how is Raquel and Io both going to get out of this match?
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
those are the two I feel like have the biggest push right now, and neither of them got out, which was kind of the shocking thing. But when Lyra came out number one, I was like, man, what they hating on Lyra right now? You know what is this? But Lyra and Io put on a great open. It was probably the longest of the matches, I think. Put on a great opening match. Then Io and Raquel had like an interesting little match until Liv came out and kind of distracted, and Raquel got pinned. But then it was great because then what Raquel do is she didn't care she got pinned. She beat the living tar out of Io,
yeah,
and then Ivy Nile comes in to get the free pin, and that was
perfect,
it was
perfect.
it was perfect. But my God, man, I just like I mean, I guess you've heard me complain about Ivy now. Like I want her to get a win, and that wasn't the way I wanted her to get a pin. And even if she got that one, then it's her and Oscar. I really wanted her to, or it was her and Bailey, I think next. I really wanted her to keep going, man. But how you root against Bailey at the same time, dude? Like Bailey, the role model, she's bringing it back. She's been so good, like this whole like year and a half, 2 years with her and Lyra. Everything that's been happening has been so much fun. So I'm glad that she ended up getting the win. She, like I said, she pinned Ivy, then she pinned Asuka. I'm really glad she ended up getting the win overall. I'm really excited to see her and AJ Lee. I think that'll be a really good match,
It
and
should
probably
be.
one. I don't know. I'm guessing they've wrestled before because they're both kind of been around for a while. Casey, they never know.
Never.
See, I figure this
Well, you
one
gotta
might be like
think Bailey didn't come to the main roster till, like,
knows right
2016-ish,
when
and
Ivy.
AJ was gone, like,
I mean,
right
AJ. That's
before.
right when AJ just yeah. So I didn't realize that they'd never, like I said, that they'd never been in the ring together then. So because it feels like a match that should have already happened in some ways. Like this should be like a like a best of three. This is the third one, and we didn't realize like 2016,
Well,
2018 now.
it's
So
interesting you say that because in a lot of ways, AJ and Bailey are very similar, very
right,
over with the crowd, two of the most talented women's wrestlers to ever be on the WWE roster, and two that I think a lot of people, I wouldn't say AJ Lee's underrated, but I think like in terms of the all-time greats, a lot of people forget to mention her name and the run she went on. But Bailey's also one of those too. When you look at everything Bailey's done, especially since NXT and her main roster run, Bailey's been one of the most consistent and best women and wrestlers on the entire roster. So yeah, I think that's maybe why it feels so familiar is because they're a lot of the in a lot of ways two sides of the same coin. They're very similar to each other. So I agree. I think it's going to be a fun match. Look, call me crazy, give me Bailey to win the title next week. I
right,
think actually. I think maybe they pull like a little switcheroo on us and take the title off of her the same way that they did with Penta and Dom. So that way Dom could move on and do his thing with Finn, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I think that maybe we're headed towards a Becky and AJ grudge match at WrestleMania with no title on the line. Because as we mentioned before Elimination Chamber, AJ and Becky don't need the title. In a lot of ways, it almost felt like it was holding the title back because there's so much personal animosity between them that they don't need that extra layer of incentive to hate each other. But Bailey and Lyra going up against each other at WrestleMania for that title all of a sudden sounds really cool to me. And now we're talking about how Bailey and Lyra were supposed to be tag champs last year coming out of WrestleMania. Bailey took that spot from Bailey. A year later, not only is Bailey at WrestleMania, but she's defending the title that you can argue Becky Lynch should have right now. So it kind of comes full circle. And then, like you said, we don't necessarily have to see a bad breakup between Bailey and Lyra. Lyra's like, hey, look, I was supportive of you through the whole thing, and we're best friends. I'm asking you as your friend, not only as your friend, but as someone who has held that title before. I think that we should face each other at WrestleMania for your championship. And I think you should have just like a straight up one-on-one match. They shake hands before the match starts, and then they just have a barn burner. And I think Bailey and Lyra would put on such a great match on the big stage of WrestleMania for that title. And I think it's exactly what that title needs. Two of the best workers in the company, because you can shade Lyra all you want. She's one of the best technically sound wrestlers on the roster. And her and Bailey would just eat at WrestleMania for that championship, dude. I need that so bad. So yeah, I don't know if it's a crazy call, and maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but give me Bailey to surprisingly, probably from Becky interfering and costing AJ the championship, but
right.
give me Bailey to steal that next week.
one of the funnier things was the whole time, I don't know, it was Michael Cole, but they kept bringing up that Becky was live tweeting the whole time during this match. That was just, I almost hopped, if I had been watching live, I would have hopped on, X to, uh,
Right.
to see what it was. But that's just such a Becky move to just
That's
be.
such a Becky thing to do. You're 100% right. That's such a Becky. Did you see her, dang, I forget what she called him. Did you see her awards that she was giving out?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. I think she called it her man, I don't know. I'm gonna butcher the name if I even try to come up with something. But she had her own like Becky Awards, Bexies, whatever. I don't know what she called them. And she didn't actually have a physical award, but she was giving them to like Michael Cole for worst announcer, Jessica Carr for most crooked referee or something like that. And she did like a whole 10 or 15-minute video and posted it to socials like a week or two ago. I'll have to find it and send it to you, but it was hilarious. All right. Well, talking about the Intercontinental Championship just on the men's side, because we just talked about Penta a few minutes ago. Penta defending his championship against who was originally supposed to be original El Grande Americano, who was cursed by Danhausen before the match started, all of a sudden didn't show up to his match, and Penta had to defend against El Grande Americano instead of original El Grande Americano.
No, look, this Danhausen thing's been playing out so well, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
First with
Kudos to
Dom,
WWE.
then like I said, because he's on both networks right now too. He's on SmackDown and Raw. Like we didn't mention his SmackDown little thing with the Miz. Like he came out and asked the Miz to mentor him, and the Miz like, I don't know if I want to. He's like, oh, well, I might have to curse you. And he's like, what? What? Hey, wait. So this, I, I said, I've got no experience with Danhausen besides these couple episodes, and I've enjoyed every moment of Danhausen since the Elimination Chamber. Like I said, the Elimination Chamber, not, I don't, I guess looking back, I wonder, looking back, if I go watch that introduction now, if it's more entertaining, having more of a concept of who Danhausen is. But this right now, dude, just give me, like, how have Danhausen and R-Truth not crossed paths yet backstage, right? Like, how has that not happened yet? So,
Well, maybe that's how Truth and Damian lose the titles eventually. Maybe Truth gets cursed by Danhausen for
right.
playing around too much, you know? Yeah, so I need that comedy gold. I need Danhausen and R-Truth on in the same room at the same time. But look, dude, Penta cut a crazy promo before this match. A lot of it, a good bit of it in Spanish, but I don't know, man. I haven't felt this infectious of an energy from a lucha wrestler since Rey Mysterio. And look, don't come for me here. I'm not saying that Penta is a greater luchador than Rey Mysterio, but in terms of mic work and in terms of like getting the crowd behind him, I don't know if Penta has a single hater in any arena he goes to across the entire world. And Penta is just so over. He could say not one word of English in a single American city. And even in the world we live in today, where things are a little hostile around the world, you don't need one lick of English to feel the energy and the passion and the drive from Penta. And he just makes you like I started running at my on my at-home treadmill yesterday. And last night watching that Penta promo, I was like, I want to go run another mile after that. He's getting me all hyped up. Penta's just great, man. And that promo beforehand just really solidified to me how over this guy truly is. Like I said, I don't think he has a single person that hates him anywhere he goes. He's just so great, so awesome. And even as long as he's been in the business, he hasn't really lost a step in the ring at all. It still puts on great matches every time he's out there. Maybe the hardest working dude in the entire company right now, and is just so great. Penta has quickly I already really liked his work before WWE, but he has quickly catapulted up to like my favorite wrestlers list right now. He's just so much fun. He's so fun to watch.
No, look, that promo was great until the very end. Like, not that it was in Spanish, it's that he started going fast Spanish. Like, he's
Hey, that passion, it was rolling out,
I know,
man.
but he started like with average speaking style Spanish, I guess maybe, and I could keep up because I know a little bit.
Right.
I'm not completely. But then he started. I'm like, damn it, Penta, you lost me.
But that's even more to the point. It's like, yeah, the Spanish got fast and we couldn't understand all of it, but the crowd didn't stop getting hype. They felt that passion, they felt that energy from him and that, that dedication to being as good as he is. And again, I said this on last week's pod. I just don't know that there's a guy who, like, outside of the ring, in interviews with kids, with fans, when he goes out there every single week to lay his body out on the line, that I feel deserves it more than Penta, man, is just like, I just wanna see this guy win in every aspect of this business. He's just so beloved, so easy to like, so over. There's not a lot of people that, as when you're a wrestling fan for a long time, you see a lot of the same stuff, and you see a lot of people affect you in the same way. But Penta just like, I don't know, man. He's just resonated with me so much. He's so cool. He's so fun. He's so nice, and you just want to see him succeed. He's just so good. I just love Penta, man. And he ended up retaining the championship over El Grande Americano. We found out that we're gonna get El Grande Americano versus original El Grande Americano next week. I know, based on my last little theory I threw out there, I think that's maybe where you should introduce the Creed brothers under the masks in order to get that, stuff rolling and introduce a new layer to this, because I don't think that this one-on-one match is the end of it between El Grande Americanos here. Yeah, Penta ends up retaining in another fun match, one of many title defenses that I think we're going to see between now and WrestleMania. I could see him defend this maybe two more times before we get there. I just wonder what we're doing with Penta at WrestleMania. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. I thought maybe we might see like a triple threat, him, Dom, and Finn. But now, based on what we saw with Judgment Day, that's obviously not happening.
Right.
So now I'm just really curious. What do we do with Penta at WrestleMania?
Ray Phoenix.
Hey, I would not be mad at a brother versus brother match
Yeah, like
already.
you like you've left me behind, Penta. I'm
Give that
here.
to me. Give that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even, you don't even have to make it an animosity thing. Like, hey, brother versus brother. Let's show them what we're all about. Let's show the world why we are two of the greatest luchadors to ever exist. Hey, you would not have to sell me on that. I'd buy a ticket right away. Give it to me. I'll take it. All right. Let's talk about the Judgment Day, because it has finally happened, Matt. After years of waiting, Finn Balor has been kicked out of the Judgment Day. But I think the most unexpected thing is that JD just kind of fell in line. He kind of just
Yeah.
accepted his role. He said that was the most shocking thing about all of it. Now, let's give a little bit of context. Nobody could find Finn all night. Dom finally says, I'm going out there to air my grievances, and says he wants the whole of the Judgment Day to come out. And then it was a little weird because Finn came out to his own music, but with JD accompanying him because JD had gone off to find him. And then in the middle of that, of course, Finn says that maybe that Dom's dad, Rey Mysterio, was right. Maybe he is just a spoiled little prick. And that, of course, sets Dom over the edge. He pushes Finn. He and Finn get into a little tussle. And then right before Finn is going to deliver the shotgun drop kick to Dom, I mean, Matt, when I say levels him, levels Finn with that clothesline, dude. And it was so brilliantly done because, Matt, we're obviously not like TV production crews or anything, but we have a little knowledge about camera angles and how that all works. And JD coming in from off shot to hit that clothesline caught me so off guard that
Right.
it was the best moment to me of the whole segment. I thought it was so great. Was JD just like, that was the exclamation point of like, this is it. Like, Finn is gone. JD is aligning with the Judgment Day, and it's happening. And I thought it was great. I thought it was a long time coming. I think we needed Finn getting kicked out of the group for a long time now. And I just hate that Roxanne wasn't around while all this happened so we could have a full group. I love that WE didn't shy away from Liv and Raquel also putting a few hands on Finn. I don't mind that from time to time. So that's cool, the intergender stuff. But yeah, it's finally happened. Finn Balor has been kicked out of the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day stood tall. Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, JD McDonough, Raquel Rodriguez. We assume Roxanne Perez still going to be part of the group when she's back. Hopefully, she has a speedy recovery. I don't know if you heard about that. She had a benign mass removed from her back. So
Okay. See, I was gonna ask, where's the only thing is where was Roxanne during this whole
yeah,
segment?
she made a post a few weeks ago that it had been giving her some pretty bad back pains for a few months, and finally they were like, "Look, it's not gonna take you that long to recover from it. Just go get it removed." And so she's at home recovering, hopefully a speedy recovery. Look, my biggest question coming out of all this Judgment Day stuff, surprisingly, is what is Raquel doing, man? It's like we've seen Liv eliminated her from the Royal Rumble. She didn't win the Elimination Chamber. She got cost her spot in the gauntlet match because of the distraction from Liv, you can argue. So it's like, is Raquel just like falling in line? Because that's not what I want to see out of Raquel. I feel like maybe Raquel should have also left whenever all this went down. I feel like this should have reached a boiling point where Raquel just threw her hands up and she's like, "This is too much for me. I don't want any more. I don't want anything else to do with this." Because now it's like, how are we supposed to buy into Raquel being a future, Hall of Famer, or not Hall of Famer, but future world champion, future main eventer if she doesn't stand her ground against Liv? Because at this point, Liv has just been screwing her over, and Raquel has been showing the signs of frustration, but then just very immediately forgets about it and just like falls in line and does whatever Judgment Day wants to do. Are we waiting till WrestleMania? If that's cool, if that's it, cool, whatever. But it just feels like something's got to break for Raquel really soon, because I'm starting to lose the believability of her like being away from this group, because it feels like everything she does is for the group, even though she's been screwed over so many times by the supposed leader of the group, Liv and Dom. But maybe we're also seeing a point where everybody gets pissed off at Liv and Dom and they just kick Liv and Dom to the curb,
I
you
think
know?
I think part of it is that, like you say, it's because Roxanne Perez isn't there. I think if Roxanne Perez was there, we might see Raquel maybe already moving on. But you've got to have Liv to have backup for this Stephanie Vaquer match that's coming. So we're gonna have Liv and Raquel probably at least till WrestleMania and that match happens. After that, that's when the fallout can happen, and that's when as well. I mean, I feel like the Raquel, the number one contenders match for the women's side earlier, her match with Io, I feel like that could be setting up something for her and Rhea, you know? Like that's another thing. Like I'll admit yet again, I'm screwing up networks, Rhea's now SmackDown, Raquel's Raw, but we've seen there's been some fluidity. So I could see, after WrestleMania, I could see one of Rhea's because I'm 99% sure Rhea's going to take it off of Jade. I could see one of Rhea's first major competitors being Raquel, because that's kind of what we've seen Raquel being built up as to this point. So I want to think that what happened with Raquel and Io is indicative of where we're going to see Raquel in the future. And maybe, like you said, if Roxanne was healthy, maybe we've already seen Raquel leaving the Judgment Day and kind of going on her own. But right now, you've got to leave Liv backup. You can't leave Liv without backup. So I think she's staying solely for that story. But I can see, after WrestleMania or after Roxanne comes back, there's a tag match, and Liv's like, no, it's me and Roxanne. I know you want to do this, Raquel. It's me and Roxanne. And that could be a
Yeah.
fallout right there.
Yeah.
You're not tagging with me, you're tagging with her, So I think that's part of it is just, unfortunately, probably Roxanne Perez, yet again, injuries, or this isn't technically an injury, but wrestlers being out for medical reasons has kind of, I feel like you said, yet again, another match influenced by maybe that. So, but
Right.
yeah, no, I mean, Raquel needs to go. But going back to Finn, yeah, JD's betrayal was the biggest surprise, maybe, because there was nothing to build up JD to that point. I
Right.
think that was the one thing. Like, you never really saw him and Finn have disagreements even prior in the weeks prior. You never seen like really JD going over Finn, but man, maybe Dom's not wrong. Maybe Dom's not wrong. So I'm kind of surprised. Like you said, it was shocking when he came out and he finally hit Finn himself. Like I for a second there, I thought JD would stick with Finn. You know, so I, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess what for me, like it's because we knew how this was all going to play out. So for me, the most interesting character coming out of this aftermath is JD. What becomes of JD McDonough now? Because he lost his tag partner. I can't see him tagging with Dom. I mean, so is he going singles now? Like, where does JD? So for me, the biggest question mark is JD. What happens with JD after this?
Yeah, maybe we get Danhausen added to the group to break the curse, and we get Danhausen and JD tagging for a little bit. I don't know. But look, it's finally happened. Excitedly, I'm anxious to see.
It did. It finally happened, though. You're right. It only took what, 5 years, 3 years?
Too many years, however many years it has been. Finn said 2, but it feels like at least triple that. So, all right, we get Javon Evans backstage with Kofi Kingston, man. I thought this was really interesting. Kofi turned to Grayson Waller and said, "Hey, look, can you like give us a second?" And he says, "Hey, look, I see a lot." What we've been saying on the internet a lot the last few weeks is like, "Hey, look, I see a lot of you like in the old me, in the young Kofi, and I see a lot of that, and it would be wise if we're under the wing of a former world champion, whatever, whatever. Javon Evans tries to stop him, and Kobe's like, look, I'm not saying you got to answer me right now, but maybe it's not a bad idea. And so I gotta say, I'm not completely opposed to maybe a little quick. I don't necessarily think that Javon has to join the group, but I think that maybe you could like do something with them at least over the next few weeks instead of just having a few one-off matches. And I don't know exactly what you do, but I'm at least intrigued by
I
this
mean, that
Javon Evans and Kofi Kingston stuff.
Xavier Woods been hurt, right? Has he been
Yeah,
hurt?
he's hurt right now. I don't know exactly what his injury is, but I think it's something with his shoulder.
So, I mean, if nothing else, I mean, I would love to see Kofi and Javon team up for some tag stuff, man. I mean,
That'd be crazy.
who wants to take on that tag team? Look, imagine that yet again, flipping networks, but imagine like Fraxium and that version of the New Day. Imagine the speed and the high flyingness of that one. Like that could be
Yeah,
just
dude.
woo! Like that for me is a WrestleMania match. I would big money to watch Fraxium and Kofi and Javon teaming up. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, I don't know. Xavier Woods has been hurt. We haven't seen, the New Day besides in backstage segments for like 3-4 months. So I want to see Kofi. I want to see Kofi and Javon do some tagging. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, and then last thing we'll talk about before we get into the rumor roundup of the week. We talked about Obafemi earlier. Look, Obafemi and Rusev, this is just two big men running into each other, dude, and it was so much fun. Both of these guys are great. Excuse me. I would I would like to see more of this from Oba. I don't know who necessarily is next in terms of big men for him to go up against, but another guy, I'm curious what we're doing with him at WrestleMania because a lot of people think it's going to be Brock Lesnar, but something on the rumor mill tells me that that is not the plan for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania right now. So again, throws up into the air of what are we doing with Obafemi? Do we see Obafemi and Javon Evans like has been rumored before? I don't know. But I would like to see something with Obafemi at WrestleMania. Him missing WrestleMania to me is a really missed opportunity. So you've got to get him on the card somehow that makes sense. But as of right now, Matt, apparently it's not Brock Lesnar, which you asked me a week or two ago is exactly where I'm putting Obafemi.
No, the other thing is, what do you do with Rusev? Yet again, what do you do with Rusev?
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
get me wrong. I love Rusev and I'm a big Rusev fan, but at least in my mind right now, Oba missing WrestleMania is a bigger deal than
oh
Rusev
yeah,
missing
no, don't. I
WrestleMania.
just, I just feel like they haven't done anything really besides that series with Sheamus. They haven't done anything with Rusev since they brought him back. And so I'm curious about Rusev as well. Don't get me wrong. I need to see Oba. I need Oba at WrestleMania. I mean, I need him. I need him there. But I just feel like for Rusev a little bit because I feel like last week he was made to look a little bit like a pansy talking to Oba, and then this week, he loses and pretty convincingly to Oba. I mean, he had a couple, maybe a moment or two there, but nobody thought Oba was going to lose this match. So where do you put Rusev at? I mean, because I feel like where you're putting Oba. You're slowly moving Oba. He's squashing people. He's winning matches. He's just, I mean, he's got to be 10-0 since he joined the WWE, it feels like. Now, 8 of those matches lasted 5 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever, but it feels like he's 10-0 since joining the WWE. So his trajectory is where I want it to be. But I'm more curious about Rusev at this point. Like, what are they going to, are they just, is Rusev just when they need somebody big to lose guy? Is that what he's becoming? So
I
I don't
mean,
know.
probably. It sucks to say, but a lot of guys get paid a lot of money to lose a lot of high profile
Oh, yeah.
matches. And so that might be where Rusev is right now. But I wouldn't mind maybe seeing Rusev in the Intercontinental title scene later on in this year at some point. I could see him in Penta for sure. I wouldn't mind seeing that. So that's kind of where I would like to see Rusev is maybe with another IC title reign. All right. Well, let's talk about this rumor roundup, Matt, because they got some rumors in here that we'll do some rapid fire. We won't spend too long on these, but um I'll bring these up. We can maybe rap back and forth for like 45 to 60 seconds each. Before pivoting to Cody Rhodes, this is according to PW Insider. Before pivoting to Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 42, WWE discussed doing Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Drew's done Hell in a Cell matches before. He did one with CM Punk, and it was maybe arguably one of the best ones that we've ever gotten. And so I wouldn't have minded that, but I feel like Randy Orton had to be involved in this somehow. So unless you're going to do a triple threat Hell in a Cell, that one wouldn't have really done too much. But also, in line with that, this is according to Wrestling Observer's Daily Update. WWE currently plans to keep the Rhodes versus Orton WWE title match a one-on-one match without adding any extra competitors. So last week, the rumor roundup was that we were getting a 4, maybe 5-man match. This week, the rumor coming down the rumor mill is that that is no longer the case. It's going to be a one-on-one match. So, Matt, what do you think about what we could have gotten versus what it seems like we are getting now?
Look, I hope what we're getting now should be what we should get if they build it right, because
Hmm.
they've got everything. Like I said, we've got all the Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton backstory out the wazoo, but are they going to make Randy a heel? Like that's what we were talking about earlier. Are they going to pull that trigger, or are they going to wait till the actual WrestleMania match to do that? I feel like they wait till the WrestleMania match. That's way too late. Getting Drew and Cody in a Hell in the Cell match would have been interesting, I guess, but we just had them do the 3 stages of Hell match, So kind of a little bit of a run it back. The the multi-person match, I never liked those. I'm not a big fan of because I don't like that you can lose by not getting pinned. I always hate that you can lose and not be like in the ring at that time. So I don't mind those for fun like exhibition matches or like maybe number one contender matches or something like that. But when there's an actual title on the line, I don't like multi-man title changing matches. And that's just a me personal thing, you
Yeah.
know. So I think we're getting the right match, but they have to build it, man. Like I gotta get I can't get this, we're friends. I'm sorry I have to kick your butt, but we're friends. I can't get that lead up to WrestleMania. I don't want two
Yeah.
guys hugging all the way into the ring.
Yeah. I can't have 5 to 6 weeks of that. I can't.
Yeah, especially when we've got such great animosity as we talked about in the other 3 title matches. You've got Jade and Rhea, like I said, Rhea stealing her line. You got Stephanie and Liv cutting promos back and forth on each other, just crying and bitching and moaning and all that stuff. I mean, just they don't like each other, and so yeah, we got to step it up. That's the one thing. It's the match I want, but I need the build to go with it. So give me that build, baby. Give me that build all day long.
Yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you. We need to build a little more. If they can get it where we need to get it, then it'll be great. Now, this one I think this one might piss you off a little bit,
All
Matt.
right.
According to WrestleVotes, Braun Breaker's injury status is holding up some of the WrestleMania 42 card, and it's why Brock Lesnar is doing an open challenge gimmick. If Breaker can go, he will get the match against Seth Rollins, and it could be Lesnar versus LA Knight. If Braun Breaker cannot go, Knight could miss the card altogether in favor of Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Now, look, I want to say something out loud. I do not want to see Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins
Has that
again.
happened before?
Yes, it has happened. It has happened at WrestleMania for a title, and Seth beat him in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
I
all right.
don't I don't want to see that in 2026. Cannot express how much I don't want to see that in 2026. We've already talked about earlier where I would probably have Seth and LA Knight going right now. If it's not going to be Lesnar and Rollins, just give it to LA Knight and let him beat Brock Lesnar.
Or
Honestly,
no,
at
look,
this point,
why do we not want Oba Brock? Like, why is WWE
I
so
don't know.
opposed to Like, because there has to be a loser? Like really, the better question is, how much time does Brock Lesnar have in the WWE left? 2 years, 3 years, a year,
Not even that.
6 months, Like how much does Brock want to stay? And have we written Brock's story? Because that's the real thing. Do we know what we're doing with Brock from here until his retirement? Because if you're not thinking about that right now, like you can't think about Seth retirement. Certainly can't think of Oba Femi retirement,
Mm-mm.
Like those guys are way too far off. But Brock feels like he's within a year maybe, of finally like putting it down for good. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe Brock came back. He's like, dude, I feel so good. I could wrestle now for the next 3 years at least. Who knows? But I feel like that's the real thing is what the hell is Brock Lesnar's story? You know?
Good question. And I tell you what, you talk about Brock and Oba, and you say if there has to be a loser, and I think that is the biggest hang up. But I
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, if you want to do something crazy with Brock and Oba at WrestleMania, put them in like a typical match. Have the fight spilled to the outside. I know this is gonna sound controversial, but they've done dumber stuff. Have it legit, dude, be a no contest at
Oh yeah.
WrestleMania. Have them fight to the point where Oba like spears Brock off of a platform into like a whole bunch of equipment that just topples down on top of them. And they just are both unable to move. And these two big behemoths, there was no way either of them could take each other down. So for now, it's a stalemate. And they, and both of them are just down. It's a no contest. You keep both guys safe. You make both guys look strong. Nobody has to eat a pin. And yeah, at WrestleMania, you're losing like the privilege of having a winner, but also you get this huge moment where you get two guys spearing each other off the stage. I guarantee you the audience there would still be happy. People online would still love it if it, or you could just make it a no or a falls count anywhere match and just have Oba win it. I think whatever has to happen, it has to be like a knockdown drag out brawl. It needs to just be like no rules, I think.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this. I mean, I didn't because I didn't think about it before. Otherwise, I looked it up. But if the ring collapses,
Mhm.
they call the match. It's a no contest.
That's happened a few times, and I think they've just I think well, one time, yeah, I think they just called the match. The other time, I think it was like a falls count anywhere, so they just kinda, like, moved it out of the ring and finished the match elsewhere in the arena or something like that. But I think if it's just a regular stipulation one-on-one match, I think, yeah, they would just end the match.
That or like I want to see is on. I don't think this has probably ever been done. Like I want to see like Brock go to spear Oba and he hits him like against the ropes and the ropes break and they both fly out of the ring. And now
We
there's
haven't
no
seen that exactly, but we have seen the ropes break in the middle of a match for storyline purposes. I
right. That's
tell
what
you
I'm
what,
saying.
if we're doing crazy stuff, let's have Oba put Brock Lesnar through the ring. Like
Yeah,
we've
that's what
seen
I'm
people
saying.
get
Something
slammed
like
like
that.
through the
Collapse
actual
the
ring.
ring.
Yes.
Have like I said. I want a no contest, but in the sense that like major destruction, no contest. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm right
Like
there
yeah,
with you, dude.
the ring falls, the ropes break, maybe it spills out into the crowd and you got to have like the entire WWE like roster come and break them up and they call no contest because these guys are just they won't stop.
Yeah.
Maybe you have somebody like Speed or somebody who's like watching like yeah I'm just a fan and but somebody can take a hit or whatever and
Let's let Jelly Roll eat an F5.
yeah, something
I'll
like
be
that,
happy
or
with that.
jelly roll, something somebody who's there, that is planned to be in it, but not supposed, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But yeah, give me the no contest of two behemoths. Like I said, I really want to see the ring collapse on them. Just like like where'd they go? And then you're
Yeah.
digging out the ring and you can't find either of them. How great would that be? Like they just disappeared, and then there's a hole, and there's smoke and flames coming out of the hole, like they fought all the way to hell. I mean, whatever it may be, But
This
yeah,
sounds like late in these WCW that you're booking right now.
well,
This
let's
sounds
be
like a
honest
Vince
here.
Russo booking.
Brock Lesnar feels like a late '90s WCW type of wrestler, man. I mean, he definitely feels like a carryover from that era,
Yeah.
And if you don't want him to lose, and you certainly don't want Oba to lose, then because that's the thing, if you put Oba and Brock together, I'm taking Oba as the guy that you have win because I feel like
Yeah.
you know. But if you're gonna do no contest, yeah, do something outrageous. But please God, don't give me Brock and LA Knight. I don't want Brock and LA Knight. I don't want Brock and Seth. Don't give me either of those. I want like we all want. Who doesn't want? I mean, tell me in the comments if you don't want Obafemi and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
Tell me
and
who
then
you'd
tell us
rather.
why.
Yeah, tell me who you'd rather have them have. If both of them have to have a WrestleMania match, tell me who you'd rather have them go up against.
Yeah, because I wanna know as well. Because I don't want any of those either. I don't want any of those. I want Brock and Oba. That's what I want. All right. Well, Matt, we did it again. We made it through SmackDown and Raw. And yeah, got a lot going on, a lot more coming up this week. The road to WrestleMania is in full swing. It feels like it's a long road, but before you know it, we'll be sitting here talking about WrestleMania right after night 2. So yeah, right, right. So it's coming up closer than we know, faster than we think. So it'll be here before we know it. But until next time, this has been TK Wrestling. What did you think about Friday Night SmackDown and Cody Rhodes becoming the new WWE champion? What did you think about the Judgment Day finally giving Finn Balor the boot? Who do you think that Brock Lesnar should face at WrestleMania? Let us know all that in the comments. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you drop a subscribe. Go follow us on all the socials. And yeah, until next time, this has been TK Wrestling and Dr. Die. We're out of here.